Underwriting. We're going to talk a little bit about blood thinner maintenance. We're going to talk about dual use medications. This is that call that those of you who are, want help with your underwriting, you want to make sure you put the client with the right carrier. This is that call. All right. Let's talk basics. Of course, you got to get the medical questions. I recommend using the medical questions page. You've got a different one for face-to-face agents than we have for telesales agents, but that's what I do. I recommend using that. That way you can put all the notes on it. You can have everything written down, and you just go down that medical questions page just the way we teach you how to do it on the video training on the website. And that way you're going to find out what to do underwriting wise. Make sure you get the client off the couch to get their medications and the list. They all got a list nowadays. Most of them do. So in most cases, I want them to pick up the medication bottles. I want them to go get that bag of bottles or those boxes of bottles. I've had them pull out boxes because I want to see if I'm face to face, I want to see exactly what they took last year, because you're going to have medications that, let's say, for example, a high blood pressure medication, they may have used 2 or 3 different ones in the past 12 months. Which kind of sets off like a red flag. That's the only way for me to describe it. You have to get these people off the couch. If you're on the phone, get them off the couch. Don't let them just say, well, I just take 2 medications. Okay, look, it's up to you if you do this or not. Remember, I'm just giving you guys the information. I'm making the recommendations. You're making the decisions. But when a client tells me, well, I just take 2 medications, I say, I need you to do me a favor. Go get the bottles. And if there's any old bottles laying around, grab them too, please. I want to find out what they're taking and how long they've been taking it for too. And we need to get an idea of that. What I do, old school, is I'm going right to the medication guides. For those of you doing telesales, American Amicable and Prosperity both have medication lists. Liberty Bankers Life's, I don't even know if they have a list. The one that I have, because I was looking through my stuff, and the one that I have is kind of outdated, but I think it's the same. But I don't even think that Liberty Bankers Life gives out a medication list anymore. But I love American Amicables and Prosperities, and I'm going to show you some stuff. I'm going to show you both of their medication list here in a minute. If you're a new agent and you just want to use the FEX toolkit, it has its benefits, but the problem is by depending on a digital underwriting tool, that's what this is, the insurance toolkits, to me, I feel like you're potentially, it's got its purpose. It's smart to have, but don't become dependent on it. I'm old school. If I go into someone's house right now, or even if I'm on the phone with someone right now, I am looking everything up. I'm going to look at the American Amicable medication list or the Prosperity. And I'm also and I might use the FEX toolkit like kind of as a cheat sheet. And that's the other thing. I'm going to pull out the cheat sheet too, guys. I have my niche cheat sheet. You guys have one for telesales. You guys have one for face-to-face. Pull them out, man. Use them. The underwriting, the better you are at doing all the stuff we're talking about today, the more people you're going to help. You do the underwriting and they don't give you the right information, or you just don't get it out of them. It can go one way or the other. Next thing you know, you're pricing them for a product that they can't even have. And then when it comes back that something else came up, they're going to blame you. I hate to say it. They're going to be like, yeah, oh no, it's more money. Well, I thought you said the $12,000 was $85. Oh, now it's $130. No, I don't even want this anymore. What I do is I tend to quote what I'm very confident I can price them with. So if I have doubt, I'm not going to go with a product that I'm not sure about. Real quick, I'm going to try to run through this. American Amicable versus Transamerica, 90% of your applicants, 50 to 85, can be approved immediate, graded, or ROP. And that's if I think I might be able to get the client approved with Transamerica for first day coverage, but I know I can definitely get them approved with American Amicable. I'll always go with American Amicable, because if I'm trying to fight to get them first day coverage and I'm not 100% sure with Transamerica, it's like a roll of the dice. It's probably not going to come back. I would rather quote them a graded or ROP with American Amicable than a potentially first aid coverage with Transamerica. I want to make sure that whatever I tell them, it comes out to be true. That's the bottom line. The last thing I want to do, even if they're holding information from me, which they will do, even if they're doing that, the last thing that I'm going to do is want to be in the situation where I have to give them less insurance for more money. Okay. And if I do, it happens, and it's going to happen with all of you guys. And it's probably happened with most of you guys. Even if that happens, you push through. But either way, American Amicable is either going to approve immediately or at least sooner than Transamerica. So Transamerica, I'm a little fearful about. Do we use them? Yes. I say avoid them at all costs, but they take debit cards. They take direct express cards. They've got some certain niches. So I see why you guys want to use them. And when it comes to direct express cards, like the one thing I don't believe in, you don't want to send all your direct express clients to one specific carrier, or debit cards to one specific carrier. You kind of need to split the bad business is what that is. You need to split it around. So, send a little to Security National Life, send a little to Transamerica, send a little to Prosperity, kind of spread it out so that you're not sending it all to one carrier. Your client with Direct Express, I prefer leading with Prosperity before I would consider Transamerica Preferred or Standard. Either way, once they pull out that Direct Express card, I'm like, okay, this is probably not going to be a great sale. Or debit card. This client, I'll be lucky if I get a couple payments out of them. That's kind of how I feel about debit cards, guys. It's true. These debit cards, there's a reason that companies really don't like to take them. And most companies won't take them, because they're just not that good. Once you're pulling out one of those prepaid cards, man, the insurance company knows they'll be lucky to get a few payments out of these people. So spread it around. Like I said, try to avoid Transamerica unless you're more experienced. To me, that's the agents using Transamerica. Maybe someone's a little more experienced. You've sold a little life insurance. You're confident. You've got a situation where you really feel like you need to go with Transamerica for one reason or another. Just don't get upset when a week later, they're still asking for more information from the application you sent up, or something changes. Something changes. Great. Some reasons I love American Amicable: insulin level. They don't care about bipolar, schizophrenia, psychosis. Gabapentin can be level, if it's for like restless legs syndrome. Gabapentin is a pretty good, pretty heavy duty. When people have nerve damage, they take this. A diabetic nerve damage is huge, and it's dangerous, and it's horrible. That's why carriers don't like gabapentin. That's why they usually don't want to offer, and really you're rolling the dice. You'll be lucky if you can get first aid coverage with gabapentin with American Amicable, but there are situations where you can when the client's taking it. So they'll most likely offer the graded or modified product though. American Amicable is okay with dual medication uses. Now we're going to get into this. So maybe I should have saved this slide for later, but we're going to get into it. Here's a perfect example. Advair. It can be used for asthma, which will give you immediate coverage, or it can be used for COPD or chronic breathing. Now, American Amicable, once you go to that chronic breathing condition, it ends up being return of premium. Coreg, that's actually a pretty heavy duty heart medication. If they're just taking it for high blood pressure, immediate first aid coverage. But it's also a popular medication for people with congestive heart failure. And then it's a knockout with American Amicable. If you're answering yes to that question about congestive heart failure, forget it. It's out. Furosemide, same thing. Furosemide is a water pill that folks have to take when they hold water. And it actually works good with high blood pressure medication, or can be used as a high blood pressure medication. Now we're going to get into blood thinners. We're going to talk about this maintenance, this blood thinner maintenance. This is super good stuff. American Amicable does their blood thinner maintenance after the client has had the initial situation happen after 3 years. So they have a heart attack and they've been taking a blood thinner for 3 years. So the heart attack was over 3 years ago and they're still taking a blood thinner. They don't care. they consider it maintenance. They don't consider it treatment. If you notice, the verbiage on all the applications, has the client been treated for or treated? They love to use that word treated. So here, the blood thinner, after 3 years of having a heart attack or a stroke, the two main uses that we see this blood thinner maintenance thing going on, after 3 years, they don't consider it a treatment. They consider it just maintenance to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So we're going to get into that right now. There's a lot of medications, guys. There's more than this. These are the more popular ones. So you got your generic name and your brand name. So you don't need to memorize this or anything like that. There's just too many of them, but you will. With experience, you will. So, and this is what I was talking about with American Amicable. So now in the event where the heart attack or stroke happened, with some carriers, it's only 2 years. So it happened over 2 years ago. With American Amicable, it's over 3 years ago. And the client is still taking the blood thinner. Some carriers will consider certain meds, not all of these. It depends. Each carrier is a little different. Some carriers don't like Xarelto or Eliquis, but clopidogrel is like minor to them. Others will take all of them. But the bottom line is it's considered maintenance and not treatment. Why is this important? Because now you can answer no to the question on the application about the heart attack or the stroke and being treated for it in the past 2 years. You can answer no, and you're not lying because it's considered maintenance. I know that's a little strange, but that's exactly what that is. So Transamerica, 2 years. American Amicable is the 3 years. Royal Neighbors, not all. There's certain combinations of meds. They're a little stricter. They used to actually be the most lenient with the this type of maintenance medication use, but they've tightened up. Security National Life, they don't care about clopidogrel after the client's taken it for 2 years or more. But like Security National Life, here's the example. Like some meds, the clopidogrel and Xarelto basically do the same thing, but if the client's taking Xarelto, Security National Life is going to give them modified no matter what, no matter how long they've been taking it, because they see it as a stronger medication. And for some reason, I don't get that. They're very similar. I don't know, maybe there's more side effects or something like that, something they learned when they changed their product a few years ago. All right. Now, let's talk about dual uses. So I'm going to give you 2 examples. Carvedilol. It says it right here. I copied and pasted this right off the internet. So Carvedilol, it can be treated for high blood pressure or congestive heart failure. Okay. So with Carvedilol, with most of the carriers, including American Amicable, if they're just taking it for high blood pressure, no problem, first day coverage. But if they're taking it for congestive heart failure, boom, it's a knockout. The client is not going to be approved. Now, here's another example. This medication, I found this to be kind of interesting because it can be used to treat nausea. Okay, people that have weird conditions that have very nauseous a lot, it can be used for that, but it can also be used for schizophrenia. So, for example, who cares if if they're using this medication for nausea? None of the insurance companies are going to care, but some of them are going to have an issue with schizophrenia. Now the nice thing is not American Amicable. We'll keep going back to that. One of the reasons I love them. All right, before we get to the momentum slide, I am going to stop share. I want to show you guys something else. So we're going to switch gear. We're going to get into a little bit of advanced underwriting here. All right, so let's see if we can do this. All right, here we go. So this is the American Amicable medication guide. You can get this on their website. And this is old school. This is what I like to use. And the reason I like to use this is it shows perfect examples right here, right off the bat. So let's start with this Acupril thing. It can be used for hypertension. If so, it's immediate coverage. But if it's used for congestive heart failure, no coverage. So let's go down. There's other medications that do the same thing. Let's get into the breathing stuff. Advair. If it's for asthma, no problem. Immediate first day coverage. But if it's being used for some type of chronic breathing condition, and they're using it mainly COPD, well, they're going to view it different. Okay, here, let me just say this. Most likely, it's going to be return of premium. And why do I say that? Because the way this silly little symbol is, what they're saying is if the prescription fill was within 2 years, it's always going to be return of premium. But if it was within 3 years, but more than 2 years, so it's between that 2 to 3 years, it could be graded. If they haven't filled it in 2 years, but they did fill it 2.5 years ago, it'll be graded. And if they haven't filled it in at least 3 years, it's immediate. Why is this silly? Because I have never met a senior who, maybe I have, it's rare, but you're never going to see someone who was taking Advair for COPD and then all of a sudden the COPD went away. Now, there are times when stuff like this will happen. When a client loses a lot of weight, they get that gastral surgery. Someone's at 400 pounds, they got breathing problems, they get that surgery, and now they're under 200 pounds. That's when all of a sudden the COPD might go away. That's really the only example I can think of. Here, Agrinox, heavy duty medication. Same thing. It's weird. Chances are, if the heart condition gets better, if the client loses the weight, the heart conditioner might get better. The chances of stroke might go down. And the next thing you know, they stop taking this Agrinox. So I don't really want to get into this too much because it's, again, that weird thing where they have to stop taking it for 3 years, which in most cases, they're going to keep taking it, just like the Advair. Another tip, if your client has multiple inhalers, let's say they have an Advair and albuterol, for example. And let's show you the albuterol here is up here. So it's the same thing as the Advair, but similar. If they've used 2 different inhalers within the past couple of years, the underwriting is going to see that on the prescription check. And they're probably going to assume this client, if they've used 2 different inhalers over the past 2 years, even if this is the messed up part, even if the doctor switched them from one inhaler to the next because of the insurance, for example, and they stopped taking the one inhaler, but now they're using the new one. When the underwriters see that, they're going to automatically think, uh-oh, this client has a chronic breathing condition, and they're probably not going to give them first aid coverage. So buyer beware. I am going to try to switch over to Prosperity. Here we go. Okay. Here's the Prosperity medication list. Like I said, I'm old school. I want to pull out these this is how I base my underwriting. This is the main thing on how I use. I want to pull out these cheat sheets that the carriers have given us so that I can figure out what's going to be best for the client. So here's a great example. Let's see. I know I wanted to start with, let's start with one of these. This Capitan. Never heard of it, okay? But we're going to use this. This is a great example. So for congestive heart failure, your client with Prosperity is going to be approved for modified. So they will take them modified. But if they're only taking the Capitan for hypertension, high blood pressure, then it's level. Steve, I don't have these in Google Drive. Unfortunately, you're going to have to get them. I can email them to you guys. If you want these, you shoot me an email. Don't text me. I'll ask you to email me because I can just reply, and I will send you these medication lists. All right. So let's go down here. Let's see. We got the Caterpillar. It can be modified or it can be level. The carbamazepine. I see this. This is for people with some heavy duty mental disorders. But it can also be used for seizures. So give me a second, guys. One moment, please. I need to make sure somebody came off mute. And guys, if you come off mute and you want to say something, just cut me off. It's cool to interrupt me. I'm cool with that. All right, so Carbatrol. If it's used for someone who has psychosis, it's going to be graded, but it could be used for something else, and they're not specific here. It can be level. Carbamazepine. So Prosperity, they don't care about people with seizure disorders. If you're epileptic your client's epileptic and they have a serious seizure condition, Prosperity, they don't care. They're going to give them level coverage, believe it or not. But if they're taking the same medication for psychosis, forget it. They're going to offer graded. So this is a great example. Let me see. I wanted to show you. Let's go down to the heart conditions. This cardizem. So if it's for a heart condition, it's modified. But if it's for high blood pressure, hypertension, it's just level. Sweet. Here's another one, Carnitor. So check this Carnitor out. This is a medication for people who've had kidney issues. So now if they're on kidney dialysis, they're not going to get approved. The client's not going to be approved anyways. But if it's from a kidney disorder and they're not on dialysis, basically, I think the way the application reads, if they haven't been on dialysis in 2 years, then with this medication, no matter what they're taking it for, it'll be graded. So interesting enough. Let me see. Is there another one I want to show you? Carvedilol. We talked about carvedilol. Very popular. Carvedilol. If you're new and you've been doing this for a few weeks, you've probably already run into carvedilol. You're already seeing carvedilol. A lot of these folks take it. And for congestive heart failure, again, it can be modified, but for high blood pressure, no problem. It's level. So, all right, guys, I just wanted to share that with you. That's some advanced stuff. This is really how I do my field underwriting. I depend on these. So momentum is kind of important. I've seen several agents really hurt themselves from not being able to get their momentum back or never even building it in the first place. I'm not going to harp on this. I just want to kind of touch on it real quick. The worst thing you can do is get into the business, start selling for a few weeks, and then take time off. That's like the kiss of death. You'll never get momentum going, because if you do come back after that 3 weeks, it's going to take a long time to get it going, and you're probably going to give up and quit. Especially between the learning curve and all the moving parts that are involved. So I just kind of want to bring this up because I've seen other people do it, and I want you to think about it. If you should be treating this as your insurance business, so if you had a normal job working 8 to 6, I mean, I have an insurance business. I don't work little hours of 8 to 6. I basically work, honestly, I start at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I finish up, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. As a business owner, most of you guys kind of get that. Right now, I know there's 3 agents on this call who had to stop, or for one reason or another, they took time off. And the next thing you know, they're coming back, and the first couple of weeks seem brutal. They're like, wow, I'm just getting killed. Well, yeah, because the law of large numbers aren't helping you. All that momentum that you had built up before, you just lost. Scaling, guys, scaling, increasing your budget. That's what this is. What scaling does is it allows the law of large numbers to kick in sooner than later. And hopefully you guys know what I mean when I say the law of large numbers. How we need large numbers to come up with a conclusion of an average. You can't, don't get on the phone or go out and sell for 1 week and go, okay, let's see, what did I sell? So this is what it's going to be like for the rest of my life. No. You need months of numbers to come up to a conclusion to get your averages in. So that's why I say, guys, don't look at your first couple of weeks averages. You need to look at your first couple of months. Then you're going to get a realistic view of what's going on. Scaling also allows you to get familiar with the carriers quicker for those of you who are new. The more money you should be increasing your budget. If you're starting at, let's say, $800 or even $1,000, you need to increase your budget every single week until you're at least at that $1,200 to $1,500 point. And then here's what's going to happen. At a certain point, even if you're $1,000 to $1,200, what you're going to notice is that this week, wait, I didn't have as many leads. If you're on the phone using the telesales system, I didn't have nearly as many appointments as I had last week. That's why it's important to scale. So I know there's one agent thinking, oh, okay. And he's heard this before. I know one agent, we were texting yesterday or the day before, and he's like, man, I'm not getting the appointments that I got last week with the same budget. That's why we recommend scaling. That's all part of it. You find something that works. With our business, you'll find you have to scale. And then at least once you scale to a certain point, you're going to have weeks that are off and on. You're going to have huge amounts of appointments and then less and then back to huge, and then back, it'll vary, but scaling has to be done. Plus for the new agent, it's going to get you through the learning curve quicker. So scale after your first week. If you're here on your third or fourth week and you haven't scaled and increased your budget each week between, when you started to today, you're already going backwards. I hate to say it. You're probably going backwards. And that's not going to be good, because now you're not going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Guys, a couple of quotes, a couple of famous Doug Massi quotes. This is me probably 5 years ago when I first started the YouTube channel. Hard work plus risk plus sacrifice is going to equal your reward. That's the only way you're going to get the reward. And honestly, I say this, I really don't know anybody who's had any type of level of success who didn't give up something, who didn't make the sacrifices, who didn't go all in. I mean, if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not sure if this is working or gonna work for me, it won't if you're not all in, or it may not. I won't promise, but chances are you're not going to have the type of success that some of the agents on this platform, on the telesales platform, or even face-to-face agents are having. So you got to give it up, guys. I know nobody wants to work 10, 12 hours a day, but sometimes you have to. I'm not saying that everybody has to. I'm saying you've got to weigh, what do I want? What does my future need to look like? What am I willing to do to get there? Guys, anybody, anything they want to add, any questions from anyone here? It's open mic. Nick, fire away, man.
Hey, Doug, how you doing? Just a quick question. For the guaranteed issue, the carrier, should we focus first on Great Western or AIG?
Okay, that's a great question. So honestly, I kind of like, I go back and forth with it. Here's what I'm going to tell you. For the client, and as far as chargebacks are concerned, Great Western is the better go. So you're probably literally are better off going with Great Western, if that helps.
Okay, great.
Excellent. All right, guys, anybody else? Anything anybody wants to add? Did I say something that I wasn't supposed to say, or did I make a mistake? If you caught me making an error in the underwriting, please bring it up.
This is Peter. Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, just want to make a comment with the Great Western. I use them, but I set it up where it's not an advance. So if the client drops off, then it's not really a hurt as such. You get allotments monthly for pay-as-you-go versus having an advance if you're scared about it.
That's excellent. So yeah, and this is my recommendation. If you're like a brand new agent, you may need that advanced money. But if you've been doing this at least for a few months, honestly, AIG and Great Western, we can both set it up to where you get paid as earned. That way you're not being fronted money that you haven't earned, which means you don't have to worry about the chargebacks when the client dies. And that's the thing, because with these carriers, the client dies in the first couple of years, you're giving money back, maybe all of it, maybe half of it. So keep that in mind. Guys, great call. Thank you for joining us today. We got a couple of days left to rock and roll for the end of the week. If you need anything, you guys know how to reach me. Happy hunting.